Good evening, everybody. This is a presentation on Chapter 26, Digital Technology in Language Learning. So we're going to start out with this song, which is in spirit of the discussion. Oh,
Not as much as you think, but I still love technology, always and forever.
yes, the topic today is technology and its place in language learning. So this chapter does start with the visionaries of the 20th century, starting in the 1940s with this man named Van Never Bush. I could be butchering his name, but this is him. In the PowerPoint, if you go into it, you can actually click on this link here to a very influential paper he wrote called As We May Think, which he published in 1945, where he basically envisions a future similar to what we live in now with something called a memex. Oh my gosh, this is a lot, I'm sure. But the memex is this vision of transferring information. Look into it if you like. But in it, we would like to think of as the beginning of where educational technology could come from. Cool. These are the computers that were back in the day, the 50s and 60s. So for this person to think what he thought in the 40s was noteworthy for the author to think about, to have us think about. So check out that article if you like. It's pretty cool. These are the computers of the 50s and 60s. So we went from the 40s with that guy. He was actually in the Manhattan Project, which is kind of crazy. So this guy, anyway, why am I telling you this? Not important. These are the big computers of the 40s and 50s. Hard to actually think of using this for educational purposes. Here's a man filing his taxes. Here's a man getting coffee. And here is a woman breaking up with her boyfriend over the computer. All right, if you would like to see a history of these computers, you can click right here. There we are. Crash course on the computers, the early computing. It's pretty cool. I recommend it. This now is the 80s, I think 70s maybe, but this is from 81. But this is where we're starting to see more. You could actually use these computers to actually build things that could be for education. So people in this time were thinking of using technology for education. So 80s, 70s. What is the reason? It was because microchips were invented and computers were made smaller. We can go back to this animation. They were made smaller and they could reasonably use for educational purposes. This was from the 1970s and 80s. The biggest hamper on educational technological visions after in this time period was simply because it cost a lot of money to do the things with the technology. Technology was expensive, and it still is if you think about it. To really make the programs that would make education through its shine, still is expensive. So the major players in the development of educational technology and technology in general, email came about. Email provided a lot of things. A lot of academia could connect with each other globally. Another thing, standalone programs such as this fancy thing called, is the coolest video on YouTube. It's called Your Tour of HyperCard. HyperCard was a thing. Like you listen to this music, you're like, we're in the place, we're in the spot. I guess you made this stuff. I'm having trouble understanding it, but I liked this. You made these flat things that maybe moved or something, but they could be shared. I'm still confused, but these were a big deal. Like I like this comment right here. It says Bob wrote 2 months ago, we used HyperCard when I was in college in 1989 to 91. It was an amazing application. So we have applications, a standalone application, such as this very interesting looking thing. You can kind of see the computer it was working on, similar to maybe this little guy over here. Whoa, no, that's way older than that. And what year was it? 89 and 91. Okay, so now in the 90s. All right, very cool. Another example of a standalone program was the thing called Escape from Planet Arizona. Escape from Planet Arizona is a lot like the Oregon Trail, but this is actually designed for English language learners. If you would like to watch a YouTube video of examples from the gameplay, it's pretty funny.
What's a UFO?
Whoa, we are in a
An
weird part of the
unidentified
internet.
flying object.
we are
A
in
flying
the weird
saucer, you
part of
know?
the internet. My favorite comment. Finally, I found it. I played this game when I was a kid, learned English from it, but couldn't find any info on it. I even started to think that I had false memories. Thanks a lot for the video. I've watched it to the end, 90 minutes of pure nostalgia. So it's just like a crazy game that I think is worth looking into because there's not really any other games that came out of this way. I'm sure there's other treasures, but the book pointed this one out and like it's just there's not much information about it. And I just love that comment by that person. So surprisingly, email, standalone applications, and then we see the expanding of the World Wide Web. Many of us, myself included, might imagine that the internet came before email, but email is much older than ARPANET or the internet. It was never invented. It evolved from very simple beginnings. Before internet working began, therefore, email could be used to send messages. Okay, anyway, basically, email was able to send messages before what we think of as the internet, which this is blowing my mind because I think I'm young, so I grew up not knowing what was happening at the time. Yeah, we probably recognize this as being like old internet and stuff, like Hotmail. People still use it, but anyway, is there links to click? No. You can click here for a brief thing. Everywhere is clickable. This is a good one. If you want to learn about this little history, I recommend this site. So here we got, especially since the 90s, technology has become more user-friendly. You can look at that big old computer compared to this little computer. So yes, more user-friendly since the 90s. So a very important part of this technological development was the HTML, is what the author talks about, HTML. Many educators and students found they could master HTML. So this is the first thing they could master. As a result, teacher-created materials became available on the web. We know teacher-created materials are on the web right now, but this was like happening. The first time was back in the day when HTML was happening in the 90s. Also, student-created projects typically facilitated by teachers popped up on sites around the globe. Here's a cool video if you want to watch it.
The world's
Evolution of
first
web
website
design.
was published in 1990. Comparing to today's website, it's
Pretty cool. I love it. It's a good video. This is an example of HTML. It's a coding. It looks a lot like word processing. It's you write in simple and then simple things come up. The first websites looked like this, but you could share it between people, and in that way you could also create this and share it. That was huge. So educational technologies, the visionaries at the beginning were using these were the tools at hand. Now our tools are a lot different. You watch this video, for example, and you really
really
see it
impressive popular.
where we've
But it
come
was into
to.
3D.
It's pretty
Click button,
freaking
which
neat.
tend to drop.
Shoes are cool. So CALL stands for Computer Assisted Language Learning. As a result, CALL shifted from being program-centered with standalone software such as Escape from Arizona, Planet Arizona. We could also think back to Oregon Trail as a standalone program. Programs that could deliver grammar drills to becoming a more participatory medium. That's a lot of words. I'm about to explain exactly what that means. Here we have Escape from Planet Arizona, a game of debauchery and freaking vice. Look at this, a noose and a bottle of whiskey. It's craziness. Selling a cacti, you know what that is. Um, to comparing to what we have here for educational purposes, it's called Canvas. This is a software with so much more participation, so much more interconnectedness. You can go from Canvas to your student email. You can go from Canvas to a bunch of different resources, all interconnected, all also branching outwards and connecting to other people. This game right here and all these standalone softwares, inward. Oregon Trail, you can't send an email from Oregon Trail. You can't do anything but that within it. Your computer does nothing else. While these softwares are so much more open and you can produce stuff onto it and also see what other people are producing. Web 2.0. If this makes no sense, hopefully this makes it make more sense. Web 2.0 refers to websites that emphasize user-generated content, ease of use, participatory culture, and forget that word. The term was coined by Darcy DiNucci in 1999 and later popularized by Tim O'Reilly and Dale Dougherty at the first O'Reilly Media Web 2.0 conference in the late 2004. This is Tim O'Reilly. So quotes by him. In the Web 2.0, the internet offers services, not software. Web 2.0 allows our devices to function at levels beyond what our single device would otherwise be capable of. For example, our phones can't hold all of the information available through a simple Google search. It's like an easy example. It is said that Web 2.0 harnesses a collective intelligence. This reminds me of all the times I've gone on YouTube and watched countless strangers teach me how to fix something. I just want to look back at this first line. Web 2.0 allows our devices to function at levels beyond what our single device would otherwise be capable of. This is really, let's come back to the idea of Oregon Trail. I'm sorry, but we're going to do that. Oregon Trail. I hope we've all played it. It's what your computer, it's running in your computer. Your computer is helping it run. It's not shooting out to some mega like computer or like interconnected thing to pull things that your computer wouldn't otherwise be able to do. On the other side, what the internet now has and offers to our computers is it can tap in to this giant thing that would be worth so much money for us to own the thing that creates it. We don't have to own the big banks of information storing and stuff that we tap into with our computers. I hope this makes sense. If not, it's okay. It'll make sense. You can ask me questions if you'd like. I hope this makes your mind feel like a galaxy brain, because it's kind of cool. Services, not software. I would like Google Translate. I would like sending emails. I would like help me set up a calendar invites. I would like to talk via telecommunication, video conferencing. I would like, these are services versus a software. We're using these things to our service. We're not just playing games. Yeah. Whoa. These are parts of Web 2.0. We have social media. We have these things to instantly message people. We have things like Venmo and Spotify, my lovely Spotify, and Google, of course. And we got Zoom, which we're watching right now. This is recorded on Zoom. Thank you, Zoom. I'm just kidding, but also, yeah, Zoom's such a big thing. Zoom's apparently not great, but anyway, keep on going. What's nice is you can access most things via computer or via phone. You can even access things via ebook readers. You might even try your smartwatch, your car. Where are we going? Oh, where are we going? Now everything is connected. You don't have to just have a computer. Your phone can connect, tap into these things. Your ebooks can tap into these things. Everything's starting to tap into the things. In a way, everything's coming to us wherever we want to be or wherever we are. Students, we're coming to our students. These electronic devices are coming to our students when they're on the bus, when they're biking, when they are swimming in a pool. I'm just kidding, but maybe, I don't know. Cool. Classroom applications. All right, let's take some classroom applications. We've learned a lot about where the web has come from to where it is kind of where it's at now. But let's think of how we could use these things to be visionaries ourselves for educational technological applications in ESL, English. Anyway, learning classrooms. Excuse my mumbling. Studies show that the use of CALL improves both student motivation and teacher instruction. So that's a good reason to think like why this matters. It's like it literally motivates both students and it improves teacher instruction. There are some studies show this, and I believe it. I hope you do too. Writing and reading. Dang, you know when you forget to have it fade in. Let me do that. Honestly, though, read this if you'd like. I can kind of just summarize what this says. This is me in the process of all this. There we go. This is just a floating quick thing. A great boon presented is the increase in authentic reading and writing opportunities. For example, online reading can include news articles, other things. Reading can also be responsive with responsive online communities where content is being created before our students' eyes. Writing can also become authentic, especially when students are asked to share their thoughts and opinions in a public way, either with their peers or within discussion forums on the web. As far as the language ego goes, students are able to develop an identity with their target language and present themselves through a very real virtual world. A great exercise might include keeping a blog about their English language learning experiences. All right, this, you can click this. This is Reddit. You might recognize Reddit. Click here. Whoa. Discord is another thing. Honestly, if you don't know Discord, let me just Google Discord for you. I'm so sorry. Discord is a instant messaging and digital distribution platform designed for creating communities. A lot of it's gaming, but check it out. Discord language learning servers master list. These are a bunch of different servers that focus on learning languages. For example, learning English, learning Romance languages. That's super cool. There's a cool link. Click on it if you like. This is an active forum community that people are just chatting, answering questions, just interacting constantly, like termites. I'm just kidding. That was offensive maybe to people on the websites, but it's just like it's like an internet thing. They're working at it. They're just active in it. Another thing that's pretty cool, classroom application wise, we take this for granted now. I'm sure maybe I do at least. Courseware management systems are pretty cool. I think for an example of how does educational technology makes teachers more effective, I think this would help me as a teacher, where it's reminding me of the things I've assigned, it's showing me what I have assigned that students can see. It's able to notify students. I can post quizzes online, grades are appearing online, and an anthology of course readings. I love that. So I was in high school all over again, and I had an anthology of course materials online. I would have geeked out. I'm just kidding. I think in higher education, students really benefit from having an anthology of course readings where they can just click and see all the material available to them. That's a really cool one. Discussion boards as well. Awesome. Yes, here's the other example. We have Classroom 101, Google Classroom. This is what's been used during the pandemic. All right, what about listening skills? In much the same way that the internet provides authentic reading material, the internet also provides an almost infinite amount of listening opportunities. There is material in the English language to cover almost all of student interests or needs. For example, if a student is interested in making music, there are thousands of hours worth of tutorials on YouTube they could watch. Also, there are lectures, so different listening skills can be accounted for. Importantly, the listening material is easy to rewind, and students can listen to the material at their own pace and on their own time. Pronunciation and speaking skills. According to the author, this one's been the hardest to fully develop. One big factor being that classrooms aren't really conducive spaces for practicing speaking activities that have to be listened to with microphones. Basically, everyone is speaking at once. The machines will jumble up the audio. This is where we've been at with this. But imagine we have all our students now in their houses, stuck, distance learning. I don't think that audio is a big of a problem anymore. So in a situation like what we have now, I think the tools that we have might work for having better pronunciation and speaking skills, service technology tools stuff. There's probably a lot of ways to engage students' speaking skills using many audio recording software as well as current voice recognition technologies. I want to know more about this. I didn't learn too much from the readings. Yeah, voice recognition is probably very useful for this end. Yeah, anyway, basically, don't worry about it, or worry about it, but I'm not going to worry about it. Grammar and vocabulary skills. Right here, we see this is like a spell check. The author points out the current limitations with our common word processors, Microsoft Word, Google Docs, with spelling and grammar checks. They can't yet account for all the things that a native English speaker would quite naturally account for. For example, there are different words we'd use in a professional email than we'd use to email a friend. There's different words and different tone we would use. It's hard for a grammar system or spell check system to know those things, or to also relate that to a student in a way that doesn't completely go over their head. You might say that if it does completely go over their head, but they are even producing the right material, are we holding the student back in their learning? I went into that in this next slide here. It's like, yeah, this is just the last thing here. This is probably a divisive issue, but maybe this could be a good discussion question. As technology advances, I can imagine a day where language learning is replaced by services that seamlessly translate one language into another, perhaps with simply an audio interface mediating between the speaker and the listener. How important would the deductive approach become if technology was able to process all the work of translating one language's rules into the other? Ooh, deductive approach. These are big words, big buzzes, big buzzwords. But forgetting about maybe deductive, maybe that's not the word to choose, but what would be the role of a language teacher in that situation? Are we relevant? Anyway, I'm going to post this question for sure on the discussion board, and thank you for listening. I'll just read this to you, but we're done. If you're done hearing my voice, you can just click end, but this is the question. The author's quote, "The use of technology in English language teaching and learning can also encourage the development of strategies necessary for modern survival, communication, collaboration, and information gathering and retrieval." Do you disagree or agree with this statement? Provide reasons why. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good night.